just not realizing we need to do that?
No, it's something that has come in here. We've just routinely done. We want to make sure that everyone's aware.
Okay, thank you, Laura.
9-4C.
Does the
No,
maintenance
C4.
effort follow that you can't get them less
Yeah,
next
give
year?
less.
But not just not school system.
I find that interesting.
I do too.
We've never done that before. Is it a contract we need to sign with those individuals that we do maintenance of effort agreement with?
It's state law as far as I know. It's a regional thing listed in state code.
So
Are
probably need
are
to
they
look at all
different
of
from any
those.
other?
Them and 911 are two examples I know that you got a maintenance effort requirement under state code.
So we'll need to do that with 911 and have that on the agenda.
We've not gotten any correspondence with regard to 911.
I thought they'd sent you a letter, and they needed to send that. Would that need to be signed by both city and county then?
Humane Society doesn't fall into that.
No.
Not yet. Depends on the legislature if it's essential.
Like others would like to join on that maintenance of
Oh, I'm sure they would.
bandwagon that schools finally got on.
Because you can never reduce, that's a good deal.
Hi, good to see you. I kept thinking, new member of council. So where are we, since Jerry's here, where are we on the street?
It's on planning commission agenda for September. It'll come to planning commission, they'll make a recommendation, it'll come to you the second meeting of September, so in 2 weeks.
Planning
Okay
Commission
with you?
gets it next Tuesday.
That's great with me.
So you were able to take the information you gathered last week back and grease the wheels?
Yes, and we've been working also about, I've met with facilities group. We're gonna try to get the designer up here and see what, once all of this transpires, when we can actually start doing some of the work that won't interfere with where Public Works is currently being utilized.
Steve, help me make sure timeline for right of way.
All right. First of all, I got props, so I apologize. Hand these out. It is going to the Planning Commission on the 11th for approval, and then it will take it to the City Council for first reading on the 18th and second reading in October. What we're proposing to do is abandon the entire right-of-way from Dice Street to Sulphur Springs, but maintain a joint transportation easement that goes back to the rear of the Boys and Girls Club's property line, because they have a driveway that accesses it. Closing only a portion of the street doesn't make a lot of sense because it creates nightmares for maintenance. Also, what I'd like to do is I'd like to end Rosedale at Dice Street. Now, there are a few houses on the other side of Sulphur Springs that probably need to be readdressed, or a short section of streets, about a couple hundred feet, that would need to be renamed to Valley, just to avoid any future problems you'll have with 911, when you have a street that goes and then abruptly ends and then picks up a block or two later, creates all kinds of safety issues and response issues. So, like I say, ending it at Dice Street helps clarify it.
Will the school system be notified in case they have to change bus routes or something, Steve?
Well, whenever we have yes, we'll be notifying everyone.
Have we talked to the Boys Club yet? Because that is their entrance way to the health club.
I haven't spoke to them directly, but we sent them a letter, and Josh Cole talked to them.
Yeah, we want to make sure that maintains open to them, and we're also, as a matter of fact, we opened our parking lot, our lower parking lot, up to them 2 weekends ago.
Yes.
And that's one of the things we can do to help participate, is make sure that they have adequate parking and let them use what we have if they need to.
Are you still going to use that as a back entrance to the campus?
We'd like to, yes.
So this, in other words, when it says that transportation, that's gonna still be maintained by the city?
No,
paid?
it's a transportation or a joint transportation easement between Boys and Girls Club and TCAT. So they've got rights to cross over it. It's not a public way.
But I mean, who's gonna pave it?
It would be the responsibility of the property owners to take care of it.
I think it'd be nice to pave it before we give it to them. I got a lot, I knew I'd get a lot of response.
Just a raised eyebrow.
You did the whole thing.
Well, I'd say something, but
Transportation easement just don't work for driveway.
That's exactly right. And what it does is it gives Boys and Girls Club right to use it. You know, when you abandon it, property line goes right down the middle, so technically they only have right to half that driveway. And TCAT has right to the other half. By putting a transportation easement, they have access to all of it.
It's a joint driveway. And Jerry, just right off the bat, since the city is giving away $400,000, it'd be nice for you guys to pave that driveway.
Oh, thank you, Mayor.
I will be happy to do anything.
Just tell James King that that's our position.
Yeah.
So at the end of that, is it gonna be a nice wall, or just do not enter, or what, is it gonna be?
Well, it
It'll
could
be
be
a
a private
building
drive, they
eventually,
could,
won't
I
it?
mean, yes, there'll be a building crossing over it.
Yes.
But, I mean, that will be an entrance onto the campus, and it's a great opportunity then to have a private street where it helps identify where it is, which, you know, then you can put it into Google and it'll be easier for people to find the campus.
So how much distance is there between, I just need to go out there and look at it.
It's about 375 feet to the right-of-way of Sulphur Springs to the rear property line of the Boys and Girls Club.
I was gonna say 100 yards, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
Making it real.
Are you happy with that?
Yes, thank you.
Well, you've told me it's hard to make you happy. But I couldn't do it.
Jerry helped on that one.
I apologize for stepping in. Jerry, y'all will also have an access off of that easement as
Yes,
well.
we have a lower access up to that building.
And you'll continue to use that even with the expansion.
Yes. Yeah, there's parking, there'll still be parking along that comprehensive building, and then the plans have that, the new building actually starting at Rosedale, on Rosedale, and extending down to where the plane's at.
On the other part of your campus, is that parking that you're adding up there? On the
Yes, ma'am.
top?
Yeah, matter of fact, it was open, today was our first day back. We opened it today, and 75 places, and we filled it.
We're about to help make you become the dean instead of president. That's good. That's when we start handing out those titles.
I'm just happy to do whatever I can to keep training people, keep driving workforce development. You can call me whatever you want to.
I think what we're seeing, and the rest of us that get exposed to the news just like I do, but it's when you hear lots of the political rhetoric going on in the gubernatorial race and the Senate race, and the other folks across the state have figured out what we got onto about 2 years ago.
Yes.
And that's why all of a sudden everybody's scrambling for TCAT money.
Yep.
And we already jumped over and lined up, and
we've got
it's rewarding to know that what others are discovering, we're already 2 years ahead of them.
And we're going to try to stay that way. We've got some ideas
I know you will.
to continue on.
There's a lot of word of mouth out there too among the students. I had, just yesterday, my grandson was telling me about his friend. He said he went to the TCAT Center and said he graduated and he got a job with some HVAC company, and said he's making good money, and said he's had 2 or 3 job offers already. And he's only been there 2 or 3 months, I think, but he was very happy doing what he's doing and making good money too.
I hope I'm not giving away a secret, but I told you last week I go to church with
Yeah.
Tim. And he was telling me, this was before, long before this, about the Weigels calling him about wanting his best students and stuff like that. And
Yeah. He has contacts with multiple HVAC
Yeah,
companies.
that's what I
And,
heard.
yeah, his class, like I said, we put 25 in a 20-person class today, and we've got 6 more working
Yeah.
right now, so.
Department of Education gets ill about that when public schools overload classrooms. Do you face that same kind of, I mean, they make you form new classrooms in the public schools.
We have that 20, but what we try to do is never put more than the 20 in the shop area. Each instructor will have a classroom area, and then we have a Tech Foundations area for students that need a little help with math and English. So we try to make sure that there's not 25 bodies in that lab where the actual work's going on. When I was an instructor years ago, I carried as many as 28 at some times. And I would have some in the computer lab, I'd have some in the classroom, and then I'd have some in the actual lab area where they were working on equipments and stuff. And I just, you maintain and manage a separation. And our instructors are very adept at working, because Tim, not all 25 of those are brand new students. See, Tim will have 10, 15 that come back from before, and then he'll get 10 new ones, and he's got to work with those 3 groups. So we manage to keep them. In the welding shop, we're not going to put 25 in 20 welding booths.
well, is his must be refrigeration also besides.
Heating, ventilation, air conditioning, yes. HVAC and refrigeration are.
I know with all these places that have all these coolers and stuff, you know, from ceiling to floor.
I think the statistic I saw in East Tennessee, and I heard this from a gentleman in the Knoxville area, that there were 10,000 open HVAC jobs for people they need for HVAC. And of course, that's going to be obviously more in a Knoxville, but I can't remember, I saw a number for Sevierville. And then of course right here, you know, if your heat cooler went out yesterday or today, try to find somebody you can get out today. But, no, I brag and I'll shut up, but I tell everybody we're completing 78% of our students. 78 out of every 100 walks through our door, we graduate. 97% of them will get a job in what we trained them for, and every one of them walk away with 0 debt.
Do y'all have job placement also?
Kind of. The way that works is usually they call us and say, we've got openings, do you have anybody graduating? That's how that normal. I guess we could have a in-house one, but it's not really necessary. Companies, corporations that hire our students, they'll call us when they need students.
It's demand and supply.
Yeah, the demand and supply is very good. And, you know, when you look at the investment on the community, these jobs will range anywhere from $14 to $25 an hour with 1 year to 16-month investment time.
Mayor, I have some information. I had asked about the SROs at the last meeting. Can I
Yes.
just take one of these? The reason I ask about what the breakdown is I support the program, but I think Tommy even suggested in the meeting, made a comment in the meeting, that he'd like to see an SRO in every school. And public safety, in a lot of places, school systems are asking for more SROs, and the school systems are stepping up and paying more. I don't think we need to change this contract, but if we move forward, I think this ought to be what we're doing here is grandfathered and works well. I think it looks like a lot of money, but I think the return on that money is the safety of the future of our, nation right there, is the SROs that are there. Now, I can't, Chief said he took 180 days, that's what they are in the school system. Did everybody get a copy that wants one? Tony, did you get a copy?
Yeah, I do. Too. He's got different numbers than I do. I was going to talk about that in the workshop.
Okay.
So he's got different cost figures than I do. So.
Well, he said he took the 180 days, and the SRO contract amount and the city cost of what it, this was all the benefits and everything for that officer, and I don't know the names of the officers. I do know that Travis Stansel is the one in East High. And I believe we have one full-time at East, one full-time at West, and I'm not sure exactly how they rotate, but I believe they do a middle school and then,
There's three, I know one of the teachers at Fairview approached me after that came out in, I guess, it came out in the paper or something. And she said they had an officer that rotated between 3 schools.
Elementary.
Well, elementary, I think the way they do elementary, they rotate between Fairview, West Elementary, and Meadowview.
Meadowview and Eastridge share, I thought,
he could tell us.
50-50.
Yeah,
Half a day at one, half a day at the other.
we've got 4, I don't know how many the county has.
They have full-time at the high schools, is what I know of, but I don't know about I don't even know if they have them in the other schools.
But yeah, my cost figures are a little different, I'll give them to you at the workshop, so.
But if you add officers, I mean, what the Deacons would you do with them in the summertime or something, you know, if you added bodies to the force?
They would be, that's true, they would go back into the pool of.
I know that, but
Well, we used to get money for this, you know, a lot of those grants that paid for this have dried up.
Yeah.
I would just not like for us to get in a position where we should have, or we needed one, and something happened, and our answer be, well, we didn't know what we would do with them whenever they're not at school. That wouldn't be a good answer. So it's an impossible answer, really.
Would that not be a question posed to the county which runs the school system and the sheriff's department?
It's a good point.
I mean, we don't run it.
But I think I'm not sure, but I think that our city officers possibly have a different type, more training in being an SRO than possibly your county.
I'm not saying who does a better job of it, I'm just saying where the responsibilities fall. And city residents pay for those SROs through the sheriff's department, through their county taxes to fund the school system. Those SROs, I remember how those things got started. We put one in each high school, and the county put one in West, and the city put one in East. And that's the way that got started back in the late 80s, I guess it was. And then they started adding one more from both, and they got to be where we had two at the 2 high schools, and there was 2 of them who shared duties with the 2 middle schools located inside the city limits, and then the other one split his time between the 2 county middle schools. And that's how that gradually grew. And I don't know how many SROs the sheriff's department provides.
You definitely need 2. You could use
Well, I
one
don't
in high
doubt that,
schools.
and I think SROs is a way to make schools safer, but I think responsibility rests with who's responsible for running the school.
Well, the problem that you have there is that if you give it to the county for them to figure it out and how to deal with it, they're gonna figure out that those schools are in the city, so the city ought to be paying more of their share, just like they do about everything else. So, you know, you're right, it's not our responsibility, it's their
I
responsibility.
mean, we'd be paying twice.
That's my point, that's the point I'm making.
You're right.
I totally agree with you, but, and speaking of that, changing the subject just a little bit, if you don't mind, I would like to recommend that you have, if you haven't already, make contact with the candidates for state representative and get them in our good graces just as soon as you can, as the mayor of the city.
So noted. Wait for that pen to drop. What's next? What's next?
Well, I did ask Joey, there was a question I asked Tony too about the bids. I've been asked about what was the range in the area was covered or notified about the bids, and I thought it would be good if Joey could make that statement today. Is that possible, Tony?
I mean, how it was where it was
It was
advertised.
advertised.
You for the Public Works building?
Yes. And he said it was local, Johnson City, Kingsport, but it also went out on the planning, what is that,
The
Steve?
plan rooms.
The plan. And so then that went anywhere, to
Yeah.
anyone, anywhere. And I think
That's where the contractors really pick up plans these days, is those.
Didn't
plan
there used to
rooms.
be, Tony, like a builder's,
Like a
Yeah.
clearinghouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
but
where
everything, I remember in ads and stuff for bids and stuff, that's where they were sent to.
Right, that's where the planning rooms are kind of taking those places, so.
is that a chat room for
No, no.
It was sort of a one place for everything to come to. wasn't it?
Right, one place, and then, I guess the builders, contractors, you know, are members of it, and they go in, draw the, everything's electronic, so they can draw the plans down and everything, so.
Speaking of that, in my conversation with Joy's daddy, Evan, he wanted to know why we didn't put this bid for the public works building worldwide.
It was on the web,
Yeah, it's on the website, so
so we.
technically it was worldwide, unless we were blocked by somebody.
Russia hacked us.
Yeah, there you go.
I was gonna say, that since Evan believes that you're the go-to guy, that when he comes to speak, I'd like for you to respond.
I'd be glad to.
You know, we haven't paved his street, and that was a promise this year.
Who promised that?
We did. We did. I think even the mayor.
Okay, there you go again. I think
What is
the
the
mayor
story? You
said-
got a frog in your pocket? What's his wee stuff?
Used to be a rat.
He was told it would be in this year's budget, and then, remember, he came back to us and said that MUS had said there needed to be some more work in the street. Well, he said he's talked to some people, and at MUS, they don't need to do any more work in that street.
Well, that's not what they tell us.
Well, I just,
The contractor they've had so much trouble with down along from Cherokee going up the creek has really had problems, and that was part of that contract. They've still got work to do on the street.
what in the world are they doing down there below the
That,
church?
that main trunk down through there has been a ton of problem, a lot of rock, and the contractor is many times over his bid, so. We've been having a lot of problems managing that project.
I think I told you, but, many years ago, they wanted to put individual storage units down there, where that billboard is and
Yeah.
where all that work is being done.
Yeah.
They wanted to put 20 mini storage units.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Well, I'm glad it's not there, because
Yeah.
that's where Greenway's going, so.
I asked if anybody been down there when it
What's
was
the
raining.
annexation that's on the, where's that?
Carlisle.
Yeah,
Beside
Carl.
Windswept.
Oh, the Helm Farm?
Yes.
Okay.
Is this Debbie right here? Is she?
That's correct.
All right.
Say hello.
Say, that's right.
Hi, Debbie, I just realized you slimmed down.
Oh, no.
I'm glad you're the one that said that.
The record show, that was Kay Center.
Debbie, I didn't mean that anyway, but
It's like one of these-
I
Well,
like your
look-
silver sleeve.
I look back in these jeans.
Rachel's trying as hard as she can not to laugh.
Oh. That didn't sound good.
No, it didn't.
Okay.
Please don't want to get by with that.
Yeah.
At least it was
I don't know that she'll
female
get
to
by
female.
with
Weird click on the other end of the.
Yeah, if we're through being productive, I'm gonna go set up for the next round. That's,
That sounds like
it
a
appears that we
good
may
idea.
have gotten through the
Okay,
material.
are we done? Are we done? Anybody?